Yeah. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? There we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Great Hang. If you're here with us live on YouTube, welcome. Also, if you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Pandora, wherever you can find your podcasts. I'm Derek Humphrey. I am usually wrong about a lot of stuff. Actually, I take that back. I'm usually right, but nobody likes the way that I say it. And one of those people is my co-host, the wonderful, the talented, the progenitor of Dumb Productions, the man himself, Chris Gersbeck. What's up, Chris?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, I gave you such a huge intro for
That
you to
was-
come and be like, hey.
It's too much
No.
for someone who's as low energy as I am.
I know. We are low energy together. Actually, I'm a little bit more high energy when I'm around you.
Really?
Yeah, I think by comparison or just because.
Just offsets it.
Yeah, probably so. How you doing?
Good. Great.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's an overestimation based on our conversation throughout the day today. That great is
yeah.
Well,
yesterday, no, I mean, yesterday I was not great at all. And
oh yeah,
you had to bear the brunt of that, but
that's all right. I'm used to it.
Yeah, I mean, just so many. I don't know. My kitchen faucet stopped working. I already told you all this, but just
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Listening.
Yeah, for anybody who's listening, Chris's house is falling apart during quarantine.
Our fridge stopped working, then it started working, and then it stopped working again. Our AC stopped working at one point too.
Jesus, and like if you look behind you, it's like it looks very palatial. Yeah. I also am like overestimating how good I'm doing as well. I'm actually having a shit day.
Yeah.
So I've had to reconcile the fact that I am a moody, grumpy person. And which people have told me before. I think you might have mentioned it before as well.
Yeah.
Most people have mentioned it, but this came from my wife, and so it has higher importance. Therefore, hearing it from other people was like how it was like hearing how like TikTok is bad to liberals from Donald Trump, right?
Right.
Like in the sense of like when TikTok first came out, everybody's like, it's spyware, don't download it and everything. And then now that Donald Trump wants to ban it, they're like, fuck you, Donald Trump, you fascist. You're like, wait a minute.
Well, yeah. I mean, no. And is it actually just like spyware? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's spyware, the same as Facebook.
Yeah.
or Instagram. But here's the thing is like, it's not American spyware. So, well, somebody gave me a very nuanced argument as to why they were so vociferous against Trump's handling of it. And it's, because they, correctly kind of painted Trump as not the most stable person to be making these decisions. But it's kind of like, I don't know, if I was getting attacked by a dog and then like Jeffrey Dahmer saved me, I wouldn't be like, all right, let the dog attack me because morally I don't agree with this guy.
Right.
So it's just kind of gotten this thing where like so many people have made their whole identity into hating Trump, like their whole online identity, especially into hating Trump, that you're just like, all right, I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I'm kind of guilty of that though.
I think we all have been guilty of some. I mean, that's just the nature of online life right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people have to put out bullshit online that they later regret, or they have to stick by it because they've like put a moral flag in the ground. You got to stand by that flag, or else, if you ever back off of it, you're just like, you're going to get torn to shreds.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I guess because I exist in this bubble where most people don't like Trump, versus like if I lived in Ohio and was on Facebook, most people would like him. I guess I don't really ascribe you wholly to that, because I also It also could be because I communicate with you so much outside of social media,
right,
as well. But there are some people, it's like, man, like you suck at comedy, so your whole personality is I don't like Donald Trump now. It's like I think those people secretly want Trump to be president for another 4 years because then they don't have to write any more jokes and they can blame their failures on. Yeah, it's just I think it's horse shit. I want Biden to be president for comedy purposes so that all these people who have that identity have nowhere to go anymore.
Well, because then we can just make fun of a decrepit old man who isn't overtly racist. You know?
No, he's just subtly racist.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like when De Blasio was painting Black Lives Matter outside Trump Tower, I was like, you know, Joe Biden should paint Black Lives Matter outside one of the prisons he built. Because he's also just another piece of shit, you know? And I mean, I don't, you know, whatever. But also I think culturally though, too, because I think that he's going to err on the side of, he's going to be on the side of people who are going to have their identities affirmed. And, you know, there won't be as many, like, I think downtrodden subgroups of people that if everybody feels empowered within a society, then you can make fun of everybody again. But since there are so many people who feel as if they are like the victims of the society, everything is punching down.
Right.
And I'd rather be punching up. So yeah, Biden 2020. It's also a Trojan horse to get Andrew Yang in the cabinet. But once again, I stand Andrew Yang on this podcast. I always will.
Yeah, you're big. I think you were the first person to even make me aware of who he was.
Yeah, I mean, Yang Gang. I mean, I tell you, initially his policies, as I think I've mentioned before in this podcast, like on their surface, like I don't agree with them, and then I heard him explain. I'm like, oh yeah, this is smart. This is a very smart market-oriented, human-oriented way to solve some of these problems. So,
yeah.
Anyways, I know that you've been in a tizzy all day. I know we said before we weren't going to do any inside baseball. We're not going to do inside baseball, but this is an opportunity for me to kind of explain a couple of things. We've had 1,000 downloads of this podcast. This as a podcast so far. So somebody's out there listening, or people might be somewhat familiar with my career. So I just want to use this opportunity to explain a couple of stories overall. But your specific thing kind of relates to it. And that, speaking of Trump, a lot of people really like that girl, Sarah Cooper. She's the young African-American lady who does the TikTok impressions of Trump.
Yeah. Did you know her before all this?
No.
I didn't either, but
I take that back. I did, but like not really. One of her books is in our office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was, widely distributed.
Because I didn't know she did stand up. Like I'm sure we've crossed paths at some point over the past few years, but
I don't know. I don't know if she does
her.
or not. Yeah, I didn't. That's the thing. My couple people have asked me, like, do you know Sarah Cooper? I'm like, no, I've never seen her on the scene, which is or anything like that.
Kind of rare, honestly. Like usually for someone like you, or you were doing so much stand-up that
before this pandemic,
so many different rooms and scenes and stuff that
everywhere except Union Hall, bless you.
Union Hall is such a weird I didn't know until very recently that that's all that they did was comedy now in the basement.
I don't know that they ever did comedy in Union Hall.
I always knew it as a music venue, but
no, I saw bands there and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I really don't give a shit. It's just funny to me. Union Hall is this place in Park Slope, Brooklyn, which is, they often try to represent a diverse group of people who don't go to their venue, and it's just a bunch of white people with folded hands clapping at the right moments when they're supposed to. Everything over in Park Slope, Gowanus that way is sort of that way. and whatnot. But so anyways, so the Sarah Cooper person is like very famous right now on the internet. And there are some people who are shitting on her and everything like that. And I don't really care. I actually don't care for her thing. I think it kind of shows that Trump is actually very funny, because if you can get famous by just lip syncing what he's saying, that means he's funny. I mean, that means he's going to say something.
I think she's really funny. I think the way she does it is just, there's something about it that obviously, you know, she figured out something.
She did, for sure. She's very creative. It's just not my thing, honestly, until I, you know, up until I got drafted into the culture war here in New York City, I didn't do any political comedy. I would throw anybody under the bus, no matter what ideology they are. So, you know, but now everybody has to have a manifesto about them. And I got into comedy to get away from that. I don't want to be anybody's boss. I don't want to be anybody's underling. I don't want to be anybody's political savior. Like, I just want to kind of do my thing. I'm more interested in culture, and your average, normal, everyday person defines culture more than, you know, some sitting figurehead does, or at least used to, but, you know, whatever. So anyways, and my thing was too, is, you know, there was somebody on Twitter that we both know who was making their assertions about Sarah Cooper, and just like how it's not that creative, or whatever the case may be, or it's just like, or that it's not everlasting. You know what I mean? I got to thinking about it a little bit ago. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think, yeah, what it came down to was that this person thought Sarah made it pretty clear. She thought that Sarah, like, it was just lip syncing is not worthy of the amount of attention that she's gotten recently. And because like like it's huge, like she has like 2 million followers now or something. But like, to me, I'm like, no comedians are working during this pandemic. Like, so why are you getting pissed at something? Like, what's like the root of that? Like, why are you getting pissed at someone for being viral?
Right. The only thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, and I just think, like, it just showed like just like an amount of jealousy almost. Like, how dare you like succeed without me playing a role in it? You know?
Oh, that's so accurate. The person in question we're talking about is influential in comedy if you don't like getting paid, and I've never even met her. We won't say her name or anything, but interpersonally, we get along great. We had a good email exchange after, you know, we had a little dust up towards the beginning of pandemic or whatever. But the thing is too, that this person was asserting was about Sarah Cooper's like legitimacy, and like how long they're going to be able to transition that into some level of career post quarantine, which who knows if that's even ever going to end. You know, we could be in quarantine forever.
Sorry, I cut out and I missed the last 30 seconds of whatever you just said.
What I was talking about was that basically that this person was questioning the legitimacy of how long Sarah Cooper is going to be relevant.
Right.
And, you know, which we could be in quarantine through 2021. So who knows how long somebody's going to have to be relevant for whatever. Also too, in the 80s, I remember one of the biggest comics, late 80s, early 90s, was Carrot Top, right? And like Carrot Top was huge, and Carrot Top was like a thing. And then he went by the wayside, and now he's like a punchline, you know, for elitist people, or, you know, people who are like, oh, I don't care about Carrot Top. But like, that happens to everybody. You know what I mean? Like, Eddie Murphy became a punchline on Saturday Night Live at one point, the show that like helped birth him. And so this like business is so transitory and so whimsical that who cares if they're going to be in it for long? What do you have as a vested interest into? Part of this too, that stems from for the listener at home or the watcher at home. Chris is I've known Chris for a long time, and he's worked his way up through the ranks to make if I could be you work exclusively in comedy.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah, at this point you work exclusively. No more DJing weddings.
No.
No more working at the bank. No more tearing tickets at comedy venues.
No, yeah.
Yeah, like Chris doesn't. I'm lucky Chris does this show with me because it makes him no money. So, anyways, so
it also requires very little on my behalf. So
yeah, I noticed in the production.
No, like, but oh yeah, I can just sit down and start the show, and then nothing went right.
Last
week it was like perfect.
Yeah, this week it was. Anyways, so shit happens. But anyways, so the person that we're talking about is a member of a cadre of people who don't make any money in comedy. And that's not to determine that that's their only worth is by money, but like they really have like they just deal and peddle in influence.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading through this person's tweets, and it just is like they're creating such a specific worldview of what they expect out of a comedian's comedy that anything outside of that is like fake, or it's or it doesn't pass their own little bed shell test,
right? But it's it comes off as so like just
condescending.
It's like, yeah, we're the cool kids. Like, you have to prove yourself before we let you into this club. That's what it feels like, I think.
Right. And let me tell you, as a guy who tried to be a cool kid when I was younger, it's worthless. It's worth nothing. Go with the nerds. Go with the people who are making people happy, especially in comedy. I was such a contrarian about the comedy business for years that I did a disservice to myself because I have this kind of ethic about things, and I just had to realize that like comedy's full of hacks and it's full of losers, but at the end of the day, if a paying audience wants to see somebody from YouTube who isn't good at comedy, that's what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I did a festival before all of this started with a YouTuber who super sweet person, super nice person, like has like 10 million followers or some crap like that. Makes her like I was sleeping on my buddy's couch and they were staying in the Marriott. So, you know, who am I to judge? But I had to follow them on a showcase, and I'm happy for them. It wasn't the other way around.
Yeah.
And
that happened with Southern Mama. They like
that guy
AFL thing, and
Tim
Dillon, I think Tim Dillon was tweeting about it as it was happening because he just ate shit for like 15 minutes. Like he had no acts or anything. It was like it sounded like it was bizarre more than anything.
I mean, that Darren Knight thing at JFL made me a conspiracy theorist.
What was that?
Just that comedy was looking to put up a piece of shit white guy to kick in front of everybody because he was and I texted my friend, and I don't know if he'll care if I put him out there. One of my good friends in comedy is Dusty Slay, who is also a comic from Alabama like Darren Knight, and I texted him and I was like, they should have put you up there. You should have been the guy representing like that demographic, because it's kind of fucking. He was one of Variety's top 10 comics to watch, and then the next year Dusty was one of Variety's top 10 comics to watch. It's like they did a market correction.
Right.
And so I'm glad that they got that right. And a lot of times
he was on Kimmel recently, right?
He was on Kimmel a few years ago, but he was on Fallon twice within the last couple of years.
That's right.
Yeah. So But regardless, like Darren Knight, if you look him up on Facebook, I'm sure he's still playing county fairs, and I'm sure he's still paying his mortgage or his rent or whatever off of comedy. It's not my business to go out and kick the chair from underneath him. Mm-hmm. And some of these people, it seems like that's all they really want to do is they want to. A lot of the anti-cop people in comedy are really trying to police comedy.
Yeah,
and it's pretty lame.
It's just a weird Yeah, it's a weird perspective to have in this whole thing.
Right.
Like these people who really didn't have to pay their dues at all. I mean, to create a bar show, you basically just have to like email the bar owner and say, "Hey, I want to do this show, and I can bring this amount of people each week."
Right. Yeah. And
And
I can tell you that that's also a false promise. You
then,
can never you can never guarantee people are going to show up because like, honestly, we had a very great show when Bushwick Bears was a free bar show and it
Mm,
was usually pretty packed. But then the next week there would be nobody there.
right.
And it's just, who knows? It's like, you can't control that. You can't control the weather, and a lot of times some of these shows, they exclusively thrived on a false narrative created amongst other comics.
Yeah.
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 I did the show. I won't name the show, but the show was like, was one of the hot shows in Brooklyn. And I was kind of surprised I got booked on it so quickly because it was in Brooklyn. And the booker even messaged me and was like, "Oh, you've got a great reputation. Your reputation precedes you. We're honored to have you on." I was like, "Oh, finally, some respect in Brooklyn," and I was like all pumped up. I'm like making sure I'm doing my airtight like set that night and everything. And I get there and there's like 4 people there.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that story, like not that specific story, but so many people say the same thing. It's like you're dying to get on these like what seem like super hot shows and like think with the impression that this one set will make or break your career.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you get there and it's literally like 10 people.
Yeah. In no industry
And that
whatsoever.
even that, I mean, and that could be right, but that, 10 people in a room can be a great show. I'm sure you've
Right.
done sets like that could still be like fun. It's not to like shit on
Those
not
10
being able to
people,
get people out, but
yeah, those 10 people are going to have fun. You know what I
yeah,
mean? If you want them to have fun, they're going to have fun. And it's really kind of all about your attitude, which I learned today I really need to work on.
your attitude.
Just as a person, I need to engage. I did a lot of research today. I need to engage in conscious mindfulness of, and I normally I feel like I'm a pretty grateful person. I recognize that where I am in life and my station, everything I've seen has been the result of a lot of good fortune, even though I'm broke as shit and stupid looking. But like, I'm lucky to have this. And so I'm grateful to, God on high for all that sort of crap.
I like how quickly you just referred to yourself as stupid looking.
I mean, that's what I hear. I've gotten a lot of
That's what you hear. People are
yeah.
like, look at that stupid looking guy over there.
I've gotten a lot of audition requests. Like I'll hit up somebody and look at the casting notices and be like, "Yeah, I'd like to play Keith, the lead." And they'll be like, "No, you're playing Butch." Keith's stupid looking neighbor. That's who you're gonna audition for. I'm like, okay, cool. Speaking of which, and the thing is, I kind of want to bring this up about because like, I usually don't talk about this sort of stuff, at least not at length, and I don't know if I'll be able to wholly tonight, but I had a meeting for a TV show last week, and with a good cable network, we'll put it that way. I don't want to say who it was with or whatever, but let's just say we've all seen one of their TV shows. We're all familiar with who they are, and it's not a Comedy Central one or whatever, but it's with one of the big cable networks and whatnot.
Oxygen, right?
Oxygen, yes, yeah. Is that Oprah's?
I don't know.
Oh no, she has the own.
Oh, I'm sure
Oprah
she's got. Yeah, she's got her own thing.
She's got Oprah Winfrey Network, Oxygen. No. So anyway, and it's not the first time that this has ever happened for me. And the thing is I think that I've learned, I don't put out enough for people to kind of understand that, how this business sort of works. I think a lot of people, even my close friends, and especially my mom, from the outside looking in, are like, this guy's ruining his life and he's not even getting anywhere and anything. And like, they would be surprised about the amount of meetings that I've had or development things or pitches that I've been privy to, considering how little I kind of talk about it.
Right.
And
well, because you generally don't, that's not stuff you like announce to the public.
It's not stuff. No, we know a lot of people who do this sort of stuff. And like, if I would get annoyed if I looked through Facebook and I saw, whenever I see somebody I even read some of my stuff and I'm like, I sound like such a bragging dick.
But, no, I do see that a lot though, where people are like expressing, and I'm sure I've done it too, just like expressing excitement for like something that might happen and being like all vague about it, and then doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure this thing's not going to happen, so I'm okay with talking about it. We haven't heard back yet about it, and it's just basically based on what I was kind of ascertaining from the meeting, is they are looking for more like kind of bro-y dudes to kind of do some comedy, some people who are just like looking to have fun. I know it's like I know it's a lost concept in comedy now, where everybody has to be a social justice samurai nowadays, but like, live in their Bushido dojo of opinions. But and it is not the first one that I've been on. It's definitely not it's not going to be the last. I have some cool things that like I'm a part of or been privy to or allowed to or whatever. But if looking at it on the surface of what somebody might see from me, they're like, oh, he's a middle-aged white guy, he doesn't really, they're going to judge me based on a lot of pretext that I have no control over, or like, oh, he's not great on Twitter. It's like, well, no, it's because I'm funny in real life, and I'm sorry,
there's plenty of like super successful comedians who either aren't on Twitter or don't use Twitter to like test jokes out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what I used Facebook for a while, until my grandma kept shaming me for it. And my grandma would always just come to you with a comment like, I'm so disappointed in you. So I had a meeting a few years ago. This is how dumb I am. I was in a contest in I think like 2014, maybe 2015. I don't know. I was still working at the liquor store, and I was in a contest, right? And I came in fourth place. First place winner has an Emmy. Second place winner has been on TV for several seasons since. Third place winner was on Fallon within the past like year or so. Then there's me, who just has this show. And so anyway, so out of that contest, I got a meeting with a conglomerate of another cable conglomerate. They own several different channels and whatnot, and they asked me, they brought me in for a general meeting. They're like, what kind of ideas do you have for shows and whatnot? And I'm like, none. I was like, I didn't, I'm like, I usually just spend my nights drinking.
You didn't prepare for the meeting?
I didn't know. I'd never had one before. So at this point in comedy, I showed up to New York, and I came from a place where there was very little comedy. I left, and there was nobody. I knew nobody up here. Like I knew my buddy from the Navy, and I knew a couple of theater and improv people, but nobody in stand-up comedy. Everybody I knew in stand-up comedy was already like famous. Like,
yeah.
TJ Miller, Nate Bargatze, Rory Scovel, and they were either, they're not going to show up. They're not going to mentor an adult who they met doing festivals or whatever. They're just going to, hey, welcome, go to Mike's, get up and do shows, And some of the people that like I used to open up for, I wouldn't even talk to now. So anyways, so I had no idea. So I just showed up to this meeting, probably hungover in like a tracksuit. And they pitched me a couple of ideas too. And none of them sounded appealing. and this is the thing that I sent you though,
I'm
was
just
that
picturing you hung over in a tracksuit going, yeah, not into
yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, here's the thing: is they wanted me to do one of these shows where they put you in like a haunted house
Oh
or something
yeah.
like that, and they follow you. I think I sent you shots of like some of the stuff that they're doing. It's like a ghost hunters or like scared famous or whatever. And what they wanted to do was like put me in a haunted house and follow me around with like night vision cameras and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's just not my thing. I'm,
That'd be like that would be like a series.
yeah, that was
Just
going to be
you.
like a show. It's just like go and find different haunted houses and whatnot. And I'm like, and I didn't realize how dumb this is how dumb I was at the time. As I was basically saying, no, I don't want to do your TV show. I'd rather go keep working at the liquor store because I have some level of comedic integrity and whatnot. And that got me no points within the comedy scene whatsoever because I can't talk about it. I can't DM comedy bookers and be like, yo, look how much integrity I have for my art. It turned down this dumb opportunity, which I should have taken. Now it's like, I
I
wish I
think
could
it
get,
sounds like a pretty good show though. I
I
would
mean, it
watch
probably would have been great.
I'd
Yeah.
watch you like walking around a haunted house, just like ripping on people.
Oh no, I would be so scared. Like the reactions of me getting I don't like haunted houses. I went to a haunted house with my wife a couple years ago. She got really mad at me because I was doing you would enter a room and I would enter it like I was SEAL Team 6. Like I would get low to the ground and be like and like clear corners and stuff and make sure like nobody was popping up. One guy in the haunted house was in a costume. He came up to me. He was like, you're cheating.
Uh,
I'm like, well, I don't want to be scared, man. I was like, and you know what's screwed up about that too is one of the people in our group, this guy, he was on a date with some girl. He would scare me. He would come up from behind like, and I'm like, what are you
oh
doing? You're
man.
not part. I was like,
Yeah, that's not part of the show. Fuck that.
yeah. I was like, what are you doing, dude? Like, I'm trying to lead us to victory here. So, yeah. So it's like, and you don't ever really understand how gross the comedy industry can be. You know what I mean? And like I get like this person that we were talking about earlier just wants to have like some level of integrity or create some level of merit about their stuff because I've experienced the converse opposite of that. In that I auditioned one time to do I was at Gotham. I'll just say that I was at Gotham main stage and I was auditioning for a television show, late night spot. And the booker came up to me. I'm sitting there, like there's a whole bunch of chairs along the side of Gotham and everything like that. Booker came up to me and I'm like wondering where the guy's been because like I'm getting ready to go up. I want this guy to come watch my stuff or whatever. And I want to get on a TV show so I could, go do clubs more and shit. So this guy comes up to me, he sits down next to me and he's like, oh man, I'm sorry I'm so late, or whatever. I'm like, hey, no worries, man. No big deal. He goes, I was at James Gandolfini's funeral. I'm like, whoa.
Holy shit.
I'm like, that's amazing that you were there. And I'm really sorry that, Tony Soprano himself, who I bear a striking resemblance. Actually, he's more handsome than I am. I look like Tony Soprano now. I wonder if we're the same age in this photo.
I know a lot of women, my wife included, who find Tony Soprano very sexy. So.
That's because he's authoritative, even though he's a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no authority anymore, so I gotta be a nice person. But anyways, so he came up to me and he was like, yeah, I was at James Gandolfini's funeral. I'm like, oh man, like I mean, you didn't really like I didn't know him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you didn't really have to tell me you were at James Gandolfini's funeral, but then I didn't say nothing about it. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. Let me go back to preparing for my set. And then he was like, yeah, he was like, do you know John Rigatoni or like, I'm making these names up, or Steve Baccaral or whoever. And I'm like, not really, they were like character actors who had like maybe a 2 or 3 episode arc on Sopranos or whatever. He goes, yeah, they were there. They wouldn't have been at that funeral if it weren't for me. And I'm like, oh my God,
Wow.
are you really name dropping
That's
James
fucking
Gandolfini's
insane.
funeral? Right. Yeah. And it
Yeah, that's mind blowing.
it
But
was. It really was.
that's like the nature of no, it's like I'm glad you told that story because that's a lot like that's what it seems like a lot of times like the concept of being in the presence of famous people is more important than actually like creating content.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And that's where some of these gatekeepers really get off is
Mm-hmm.
because they don't have any sort of creative thing that they have going on. They're drones, but they want to saddle up. They want to be top drone next to whoever the queen bee is.
Right.
And it's gross. I think that's a thing that's kind of held me back in comedy is I've never been able to be that duplicitous. I consider Rebecca Trent, owner of the Creek in the Cave, a friend at this point, but there's a long time I didn't even want to talk to her because I didn't want to be one of those people that was only seen as like ponying up to her because she
Yeah.
is within the industry or within the business or anything like that. And
Yeah, which I'm sure she gets all the time,
yeah, oh yeah, for sure absolutely does that.
Mm.
To note, I also didn't get that TV show obviously because Jim Gaffigan dropped in and he did 20 minutes on biscuits and gravy alone, and then and then three comics do abortion jokes in between me and him, and then I got to go up and start talking about RoboCop. They're like, people laughed after Gaffigan. They're like, we had our 2 drinks, we got our $25 worth, like we're out of here, you know what I mean? And that same booker didn't shake my hand afterwards, didn't offer me any advice, didn't really care to speak with me ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, okay, cool. You are this like gross sort of person. And I think the thing that the pandemic has kind of taught us is that you have to go more direct to consumer. Like we don't need some of these gates.
Exactly. Like what
anymore.
that's what I found so funny about the tweets I was getting so upset about. It's like I get it. You don't have we're all working under completely different circumstances than what we were used to. And you don't but what I think they're really getting upset about is that they don't have the power to say yes or no to people.
Right.
Right now,
Yeah. I mean,
because there's nothing to say yes or no to. I mean, they're like Zoom shows, that's it. But like,
right. They're making lists and they're checking them twice. And if comedy ever comes back, which who knows if live CAA laid off all those people. That was a big talent agency that laid off a lot of people, which is a huge blow for live comedy. And live comedy is where I feel like I kind of thrive best. And so that's like, I'm not super stoked about the prospects of it either. That's why I really I'm glad that within the last year, I kind of pivoted back to acting because that's opened up more opportunities for, me to keep working. And like you make your money exclusively off of comedy. And over the last few years, I'd say I'd make like a good third of my income from
yeah.
comedy,
I mean, honestly, that only happened in the pandemic though, because I mean, before this, I was definitely not making a full living off of comedy. Like I was able to do some stuff, but I was like bartending at 92Y and QED and running the door at QED and stuff, like all these millions of side jobs and stuff.
Sure. Yeah. But well, within the last, I feel like you transitioned a little bit earlier before that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I guess the point is though, is that, especially for any of my friends who might listen, who don't think I have shit going on in life. I up until this pandemic hit, I was performing at every club in the city except for the Comedy Cellar, and I felt like that one was going to become an opportunity I might have to do within this year. I was definitely feeling like I was on an upward trajectory and whatnot.
Yeah.
And also, for the people who we make a lot of assumptions about other people and everything like that. Some of them I think are accurate, because like some of these people who are in comedy who are like, I mean, kind of like almost basically preying upon the fears and insecurities of comedians, because we all worry about approval.
Mhm.
And if somebody knows that like, well, you need my specific approval in order for you to do better at this thing that you are borderline killing yourself to doing, people are going to bend over backwards and stuff like that, and like to try and reach their approval. And it's kind of horse shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you don't pay my fucking bills.
Right.
If I want to become a puppet act,
I think it's because that's where any comedian's career starts. That's the first step, right? Anyone can sign up and do an open mic, but the first step to actually becoming a paying comedian is to get the approval of someone else who will put you up.
Right. And sometimes that approval isn't even contingent on how good you are at comedy.
Yeah.
It's just like, did you hang out at the bar till 4 a.m?
Exactly.
Buying drinks or whatever. That's where like this kind of whole rich kids in comedy thing comes into play.
Yeah.
Because there have been a number of people who are like, oh, I deserve this opportunity or whatever because I've been part of the scene and whatnot. And it's like, well, how are you part of the scene? Well, my dad pays my rent. I'm like, oh, well, of course, and I'm a person, I don't really live for material things, especially not as much as I used to. Yeah. And I definitely gave up a lot of material things and a lot of material lifestyle centric things in order to pursue this, because the experience of doing it is so much more fun and enriching than like owning a BMW.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, I kind of put that into question nowadays with the pandemic going on. But I remember a friend of mine who definitely does not share this ideology. When I was getting ready to quit my job to move to New York to do comedy, he goes, just buy a Mercedes. And I was like, and I had the money to do it at the time too. And I was like, yeah, I'll renew my lease and buy a Mercedes and just, keep wearing a suit and tie every day. But I was miserable.
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I worked at Bank of America for 9 years and fucking hated myself that entire time.
Yeah. So many people that I know who still work at that place where I used to work, this pandemic has shown them what I learned a long time ago, was that the rich asshole who owns that place could give a fuck about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's really all about the bottom line. It's about squeezing blood from a stone. And so why live your life according to what it is that they, want you to do? And so I just appreciate the fact that or appreciate kind of anybody who at least recognizes that. Like, I come across as a dick sometimes, but it's because I care a lot. But I think that people will tell me a lot of times that I'm way nicer than they thought I was going to be. Because as much as I joke about not liking a certain person or a certain group of people or whatever, I don't want any. I'll joke a lot or tweet a lot about my favorite comics are the ones who quit. And it's just more of a joke than anything else, but I don't want you to feel unfulfilled in your life. I want you to be able to establish actuality, and I'm not a bad person. If you quit comedy because you need to have a better life and whatnot, I don't blame you at all. This is stupid business. And I just love doing it too much. And in order to quit. So
I know it does boil down to people judging other people's careers, which is a really weird thing to do, publicly.
Right. And I'll tell you, I really wanted this. I really put a lot a lot of my all into this latest pitch for this show, because like anybody else, I really want this show. And it's not even because I want it because I think the concept is going to be good. There wasn't even an established concept. It's just that I want to, it's a network that would go out to a lot of people in the Plain States, you know, who are still watching cable, who are still watching TV and everything. I'll give you an example. I was on an episode of Impractical Jokers, just not even in on the joke. I was just on. It was me and Jericho. It was Jericho's band, Jericho from Bushwick Bears, yeah. And Big J was in it and everything. And I'll get text messages from my friends and family back in Ohio or in Virginia or North Carolina or wherever. They'll be like, "Yo, I saw you on Impractical Jokers, dude." And I'll ask them,
doing stand up.
No,
just on it.
Just on it. I was just like, I don't even know if they caught me like speaking on camera. They just, I've never seen the episode. I just see the text messages.
Yeah.
And like Old Navy people and stuff will hit me up and be like, "Yo, I saw you in Impractical Jokers, man. That's amazing." I'm like, that show wasn't even about me. So if there's some show on some network that's even about me and you'll see me on it, you'll more likely come watch me at the Virginia Beach Funny Bone.
Yeah,
that weekend than you would just hearing me tell you that I'm a good comedian. And that's all that anybody really wants from it. Because I mean, like, I'll ask them too. I'll be like, well, you know, one of them Practical Jokers does stand-up comedy, and I'll ask my friend who texts me that. I'm like, well, what do you think about such and such person? Would you go watch them do stand-up comedy? And they're like, yeah, I'd pay $50 just to sit in a room with that person. And I'm like, man, that's amazing, because they're not even good. But it doesn't matter. It's like, I went and saw, you know, he'll never hear this, but I went and saw in 2010, 11, somewhere around then, I went to a bachelor party in San Diego, and we went and saw Joel McHale.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The Talk Soup guy who was on Community, whatever. Yeah. He had, I mean, it was in some, I think it was at like I forget, it was some outdoor venue, and the venue was huge. It was like, I mean, it was like five to 800 people, and the
perfect conditions for a stand-up comedy show.
Yeah, it was San Diego. I mean, whatever. It's a bunch of wine drinking white ladies, and it was like $60 a ticket. And I started watching the show, and the opener who came out was this tall, lanky dude. Was just crushing it. He was super funny. And I'm like, oh, damn, man. I'm like, Joel McHale's going to be so good. You know, he's going to be so funny. And then Joel McHale came out and was just like, oh, man, the Kardashians suck, huh?
Oh, man.
I'm like, oh, my God. And I know people have opened for Joel McHale over the years and whatnot, and they've all said that he's a super nice guy and big sweetheart. He knows he's not that good, and he's worked really hard at it. It's just that, like, he was on that TV show, and his manager said to him, you know, if you just go out and charge $70 a ticket, you can make a whole bunch of extra money doing this on your free time. You have to be, you know, and he why not? That's what anybody's going to do. Yeah. Put boatloads of money in front of people. They're going to take it.
Yeah. I mean, that's why Dustin Diamond started doing stand up at some point.
I mean,
Jeremy Piven.
Screech. Oh, dude, I was at the I was at one of the Comedy Zones. I forget. I think it's Fredericksburg Comedy Zone. I was sandwiched in a week. I was featuring, and I was sandwiched in a weekend between Todd Bridges and Dustin Diamond.
Wow. Todd Bridges.
Yeah, he was on Showbiz Kids, and feel super bad for that guy. I'm glad he's like the one who actually survived. He's the only one who survived out of that.
Right. He's still around, right?
Yeah. And he's, you know, seems like he's gotten his shit together over the years, but
yeah,
no, it's true. And I mean, listen, people are going to like what they like. Like, you know, remember Chris Kattan from Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
Right. A friend of ours was opening for him in Rochester one weekend, right? And Chris Kattan had 5 shows on the books for that weekend: a Thursday, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday. Guess how many shows he ended up doing?
1.
7.
Holy shit.
Yeah, because they sold out. They kept selling out. People just wanted to see it. And I mean, and
I
he
thought
was
they're going to say
funny.
no one gave a shit.
No, it's just that like he
Yeah, I believe
has
it.
that recognition. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But here's the thing is like some of these people who have their highfalutin attitudes about comedy of all fucking things would be like, well, Chris Kattan's not that great and he's not a pure artist or whatever. And I wouldn't let him do my free bar show. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, like we all should be so lucky to get to do what it is that we want to do with our lives. So
yeah.
Anyways, that's the only inside baseball episode that I think we're ever going to do of this show because I just had to kind of get it off my chest. I know you had to get it a little bit off of your chest as well.
Yeah. No, it helps to talk about it instead of just type it at you.
Right, true. And listen, I'm too old and I'm too sober at this point for comedy beefs. The only person who I think really hates me still in comedy is Brian Yang. But you know, because he can't take a joke. Whatever.
I've never had a real comedy beef.
Oh,
you know?
No. Yeah. I mean, I know we often talk about like, this guy sucks or whoever.
Yeah.
Or especially like this woman sucks. But just kidding. The thing is too, is I think that so many, I'm saying this genuinely, is that I don't think women are funny, but I think the women comedians who are funny are funnier than your average comic for sure.
That sentence started with, I don't think women are funny.
Yeah, I don't think most people are funny, you know, like, and it's not to be, you know, I do this for a living at this point. I remember even before I was doing this for a living and people would say, jokes to me at the office and whatnot. I get so many text messages of like, hey man, can you put this in your act?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I didn't drink Faygo as a kid. What do you think? I'm like, what? My buddy all the time, he texts me, he's in Ohio and he'll text me the most nonsensical shit. And he'll be like, dude, put that in your act. I'm like, what? Or like I have a buddy who came last summer and he was like, bro, you didn't talk about us growing up together or nothing like that. He's like, how come you didn't do our inside jokes? I'm like,
yeah,
because there are inside jokes, you dumbass. Nobody's going to relate to
there's sometimes
what we've been saying since high school.
There are sometimes where like, it's like my wife and I have a lot of things that we joke about in private, but then she'll be like, oh, do that to like a group of people. I was like, no, I don't want to. Like, I'm not performing.
No. Yeah, they're not really gonna understand it. So.
Right.
But I don't think most dudes are funny, really, honestly. Like it's just, I mean, I guess that's snobbery on my part, but I think that the women comics who are funny are really fucking funny. And I would never call them a woman comic. I just call them a comic.
Right.
Yeah. I like most dudes should be so lucky to be a female comic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
God. I remember one time I was at QED. You were there. You were bartending at QED, and some guy was just saying, like, basically racist, sexist shit on stage.
Oh, I remember this.
And then he goes, I don't know what a fuck boy is, and I got so mad, and I was like, you do now. We all do.
You got I feel like you got a round of applause.
Oh, I did get a round of applause
because you were on the other side of the curtain, so you yelled that.
Yeah,
to him.
I didn't even have to yell it. It was just dead silence because that dude wasn't getting any laughs. I remember Pedro Gonzalez came around the curtain and like hugged me. Because I mean, fuck those.
That was so amazing. I should have asked Amber to get like the security footage of that so we could rewatch.
I know. I would put that on my Instagram. So, anyways, so I don't know. I kind of wanted to get off my chest a little bit, and also too because like a few people who I'm close with have made jokes about like they think my wife pays my rent or something like that, and that she's just indulging my hobby and everything. I was like, you guys have no fucking clue of how hard I work, how I've pretty much like almost cost my marriage in pursuit of this shit because it's fucking hard. It's really fucking hard. You kind of
have to,
and I don't even and I still don't feel like I've given enough. And if you ask her or my family, they'd be like, "You've given too much."
Yeah.
So, anyways, you're off next week. You're not going to be here. I'm going to do the show with the boys, the Bushwick Bear boys.
Oh, nice.
I'm just going to stream it from my YouTube or whatever. And
Awesome.
yeah, I'll have to maybe figure out how to include them in it, but
I could show you. It's really easy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be at next week?
Going camping.
Oh, good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's like the safest thing you could do right now.
Yeah.
Outdoors. So
yeah, we're going to Asheville, North Carolina in a couple weeks ourselves.
nice.
But we got a cabin, so it's not really that.
Should I turn off the feed?
Yeah, I was just going to wrap up now.
Oh, okay. No,
yeah.
I couldn't tell if you thought that we had already ended the show and we were just like catching up.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So, anyways, everybody, thanks for listening to Chris and I dish on our vacations. But, anyways, all right. Thanks again for listening. Great hang, Chris.
Yeah, great hang.
All right. I will see you all later.